Good afternoon. Hope you are all doing well and able to deal with the new situation we found ourselves in. I ask you to read certain lines, I think from 750 until 1401, and to watch the video I uploaded on your e-learning account. So I hope you were able to read the lines and to watch the video. The video was about the 5 virtues of chivalry, and these 5 virtues are like central to medieval literature because it's all about chivalry. So the first virtue was faith, and here by faith they mean the faith in God. It includes loyalty to God, the defense of the church, and confidence in God. Loyalty to God, the defense of the church, and confidence in God. The second virtue is honesty. It's all about keeping promises. So a chivalric hero is supposed to be able to keep his promises and not to live a double life, which means his appearance should be the same as his reality, and not to do something dishonorable. The third virtue is courtesy, and courtesy is very important to the medieval ethics of conduct, and it's all about manners, how to treat people the right way, manners. The fourth was prowess, and that's obvious, which is courage, strength, and the service of the common good, المصلحة العامة, the common good. The last one was generosity, and it includes mercy and how to use the gift God gave you in the service of others. So they are interrelated. Now these are concepts, these are general concepts, but in this course we are concerned with applying them to the text of King Horn. So how we can analyze Horn's personality as a chivalric hero. How Horn embodies all these 5 virtues. Let's start with courtesy. So his ability to be mannered. So he's a mannered hero. He is mannered. He has manners. And we will give examples. The way he replies to Rimenhild, for example, when she confronts him with her love, he doesn't refuse in a tough way. He is very mannered in his reply to Rimenhild, and I will read for you now. So courtesy is very important. So even if you don't agree with the person you are talking to, you should be mannered. You should reply in a very mannered way, and that's very important in medieval society, especially for knights, especially for heroes. So let's read from the lines. It's line 418. The way I just want you to see the way he replies to Rimenhild, how he is very courteous in his reply. So yes, let me just look at the specific lines. Yeah, here we go. So when Rimenhild asks him to marry her, and he knows he's not able to do that, his reply is the following. So Rimenhild says, "Without doubt, you must have me for your wife." And his reply is the following, line 418. "May Christ guide you," he said, "and give you heaven's joy in your husband, wherever he is in the land. I was born too low to have such a woman. I come from a serf's home and ended up a foundling. It would not be proper for you to wed me as a spouse. It would not be a fair wedding between a peasant and a king." So see his reply. He's very mannered. He's very respectful in his language, and that's courtesy. That's courtesy. Let's give another example. The way how courtesy is stressed in his interaction with King Thurston when he leaves to Westerners to Ireland, and how he meets the king and how he is very courteous in his reply to the king. And that's line that's line 789. Let me read for you. So 789. Oh my God, where's... Well, I might not be able to find the line. It's there, it's 789. But it says how he is very courteous in his interaction with the king, how he introduces himself. That's it, 789. So when he sees the king for the first time, the poem shows how he courteously greeted the good king, line 789. So this is all about courtesy. This is all about courtesy. The second virtue which we find in Horn as a chivalric hero is honesty. He's honest. He's able to keep his promises. The fact that he doesn't deceive the king, King Aylmer, the king who found him, you remember at the shore at the beginning of the poem. So he doesn't deceive him. How? He refuses the relationship with the king's daughter because he is honest with the king. He doesn't want to do a secret relationship with his daughter. He doesn't accept that. So, and he makes this clear when he confronts the king. So what happens is that Rimenhild is in love with Horn, but Horn refuses this relationship as long as he is a foundling. Fikenhild convinces the king that there is a relationship between Horn and Rimenhild, and the king asks Horn to leave the kingdom. Then, after 7 years, when Horn comes back, he confronts the king and he says, "I'm honest, I won't deceive you whatsoever." And that's line 1274. So let's read 1274. When Horn confronts the king. Yes, that's it. So he says, "Sir King," he said, "listen to a tale among the best. I do not tell it to blame you. Horn is my name. You raised me to be a knight, and I have proven my knighthood. Men said to you, King, that I betrayed you. You made me flee. That's the Middle English pronunciation. And to leave your land. You believed that I had done what I had never thought of, to lay with Remenhild, and that I deny, nor will I begin to do so until I win the South lands. And he means Sodina here. So he confronts the king, he proves his honesty. He's honest, he won't deceive the king. The third virtue we find in Horn is faith. The faith in God, the confidence in God, that God will help him, and at the same time his ability to support Christianity, to be a good Christian. That's all about faith. And an example an example in the poem about Horn's confidence in God can be found in line 1061, when he prays to God, when he wants to go and fight with King Modi, the one who forced Remenhild to marry him. So he's planning to go and fight, and he asks for God's help. That's 1061. Let's see the line. So 1061. Yes. Yeah, so when he is just close to Westerness, and he is about to fight with King Modi, what he says is that, so the line says 1061, Horn said, "So help me Christ, help me Christ." He's asking help from Christ. This is faith, this is confidence in God. Also, the passage started in line 1390. It shows, so 1390, it shows his dedication to Christianity. So his homeland is Sodina, the land of his fathers and his mother. So when he goes to Sodina, after being knighted and after being experienced, and he was able to defeat the Saracens, the first thing he does is supporting Christianity. How? The lines, yes, so go to line 1391. It says, so he killed the Saracen, and immediately Horn ordered that the chapels and churches be built. He had bells rung and masses sung. So this is the first thing. He restored the Christian rule of the kingdom. He restored the Christian rule of the kingdom, and that shows his dedication to Christianity, his faith in God, and his dedication to Christianity. The fourth virtue is prowess, his courage, and that's very obvious. This virtue is very obvious in Horn. So he is virtuous, and he is able to use his courage to support his fellow Christians. So if we see line 834, so let me find the line 800. Yes, 834. Yeah, so while in Ireland, when a pagan, so Horn was, I always want to remind you of the plot. So Horn was exiled. So he left Westerness to Ireland, and there he served the king of Ireland, King Thurston. So a pagan comes and proposes to fight with 3 Christians. So one pagan will fight with 3 Christians, but Horn refuses, and he said it's unfair that one fights with 3. So what happens is that he refuses, and the lines show that. So what line 834, please go and read the lines. So he says, Sir King, it's not right for one to fight with 3, for 3 Christian men to take on one heathen hound. And here heathen means the Saracen. Sir, I will go alone without any other companions. With my sword, I will easily bring the 3 of them to death. So that shows his courage, his prowess. He is very courageous. And this also shows his faith in God. He trusts God. He knows that God will support him, and this shows his service of the common good. He is fighting with the pagan in order to save Ireland. So this is a service for the common good, for Maslaha al-Amma. And the last one is generosity, and it's very related here, very related to the previous virtue, because generosity is related to how the person can use the gift God gave him in the service of the community. So the gift that God gave to Horn is courage, is prowess. So he's using this to support the people around him. In all his fights, his aim is to support the people around him, to save them, to protect them, not to protect himself. So he is generous because he is using his prowess to protect people around him. Yes, so this is the way we will analyze the text from now on. And there are 2 major points I need to highlight here. The first one about emotions, and the other one is about arranged marriages. What you need to know is that during the medieval period, the displacement, the expression of emotions was not random. So people were governed by certain codes of conduct. So men are not allowed to express their emotions freely. For example, what I would say is that we need to comment on the way emotions are expressed in King Horn in this text. The first thing we should do is a comparison between Fremenhild and Horn, because the medieval discourse on emotions was gendered, which means there were certain emotions that are appropriate to women and other emotions that are appropriate to men. And the way men and women display emotions is different, so they should be careful when displaying their emotions. Now, that's called somatic expression. Women are allowed to express their emotions in a somatic way, which means bodily way. So they can cry, they can swoon. Swoon means losing consciousness. So they can cry, they can swoon. That's physical expression of emotions. Men are not usually allowed to do this. They are not allowed to cry, they are not allowed to swoon in general. So Horn is portrayed as a rational character who keeps his emotions under control, and he's active and reasonable. However, Fremenhild is weak and emotional. That's the way they are presented in the text. The Christian belief that Christians believe that passions incline us to sin. They are the cause of sin. That's why men are not allowed to be very passionate because they need to use their reason to serve the community instead of fulfilling their desires. So women are presented as weak because they are emotional and they can be victims of love sickness. So you can notice how the many times Ravenhild cries, the many times she swoons, she's always sad, she's always crying, and she's always weak. Um, the only emotion or the only feeling that Horn expresses freely is anger. So, Horn is presented as angry only once in the poem. Do you know where's that? It's when he confronts the pagan in Ireland. So that's line 870. Yes, let me read for you. So he for said sorry. Such a yeah. So this is the beginning of it. So line 470. Line 474. Yeah. They said they had never had such hard blows from a knight, except from King Moray. And who's that? King Moray or Mary? Both are right. King Moray is Horn's father. So he is fighting with a pagan, and the pagan says that he has never received such blows from a knight except from King Moray, who was also very formidable. He was from Horn's family, born in the Southlands. Horn began, and here, so Horn here in these lines, Horn realizes that he's fighting with his father's murderer, the one who killed his father. So Horn began to shudder and his blood rose. He saw standing before him the men who had driven him from his land and killed his father. He drew his sword to himself. He looked at his ring and thought of Fremenhild. He stabbed them through their chests, which pained them harshly. The pagans who were so fierce earlier began to run away. So that's the only time Horn is presented as emotional, as angry. But here, Horn's anger is justified. His anger is justified. Why? Because he is by killing this pagan, he's protecting a whole nation. He's not angry because of a personal thing, even though the murdered was his father, but the impact, I mean, his anger is presented as triggered by collective, not private concerns. The collective loss caused by that pagan. So when that pagan killed Horn's father, it's not only about the father, but he changed the role of the kingdom from Christian to pagan, in their opinion, of course. Anger, in this case, anger is not contrary to virtue because it's reasonable and motivated by a justified reason. So the justified reason is the protection of Christians and Christianity. And in his anger, Horn punishes someone who deserves to be punished, and it doesn't make him go beyond what he deserves. So if you can notice, he confronts the pagan from the front, and he doesn't humiliate. ما بيمثل فيه. He doesn't humiliate the pagan, neither before nor after he kills him. And it is directed towards a virtuous end, which is justice. So in their opinion, he is doing justice to the Christians because that pagan caused the kingdom to forsake Christianity. So he is supporting Christianity in general and protecting Christians. So this is the way we will be analyzing the text. These are some major points I highlighted. I want you to continue reading Kinghorn till the end. You have it with you. And next lecture, we'll do the same thing. So I will be commenting on major ideas you need to understand, and I will be reading lines from the text. So yes, what I want you to do is to go back to the lines we commented on and understand the points I highlighted. Next time, as I said, you are required to finish reading Kinghorn, and we will discuss the lines, we will give examples, and we will comment on the major ideas you need to understand. Take care.